Hello there, my name's Matthew, and I'm doing a video today on the Paladin class up to level 90. Admittedly, I don't have a Paladin at level 100, but if you look at most of the abilities you get as you play the character class, it sort of tops out at 90 because Guardian here just replaces an existing ability, and so does Imperator. And then at level 100 you just get an extra combo action. So it's fairly good information, I think, to still focus on levels 1 to 90, and I'll do my best to explain the job and what you can expect when you play the character class. So first off, I wanted to show you my hotbar. I have it set up so that I have 3 hotbars, and a 4th one over here for things I don't use very much, especially in a dungeon. Things like food, a healing potion, teleporting, mounts, and then other things. So when you first start playing, you're going to have a few basic abilities. What I've done here is laid it all out so that you can have your first ability being Shield Bash, because I find that it's a really useful stun ability that you get to use with a 2.5 second recast. You don't have to wait for 30 seconds or a delay before you can use it again. If you look at Low Blow, which other classes get, you have to wait 25 seconds before a use. The difference here is with Shield Bash, you can hit the enemy and stop them from doing any activity for 6 seconds, and this works on most enemies except for a boss. Then you have your 3 main single target abilities: Fast Blade, Riot Blade, and Royal Authority. Now, when you first start playing, Royal Authority is going to be Rage of Halone. And as you level up, by the time you get to level 60, that ability is replaced. But it functions the same, it's just that the animation is different. From there, you'll activate either Holy Spirit or Holy Circle. So I like to have it here on the bar so that once I've completed my basic combo, I can do Holy Spirit, which does single target damage. It's a free instant cast ability when you have completed this combo. And then Atonement, after you've completed the base combo, becomes available. And this is like a 3 or 4 hit combo that just does some good damage. And it shares a regular cooldown, so you can keep attacking without having to start this combo over again. Now I've put some gaps here so that I don't get confused about what the other buttons do. But down here I have Fight or Flight, which is an ability that increases your damage dealt for 20 seconds. And then Requiescat is an ability that on its own does a decent amount of damage, but it enables you to do this Confiteor or Confiteor combo, which is like a 4-hit combo that you can do where you do massive damage to a target, and I like to use this on bosses. Up here you have Provoke and Shield Lob and Intervene. These are my 3 main abilities for getting a target's attention and for getting threat levels focused on me as the tank instead of other players in the party. Provoke just forces the enemy to attack you. Shield Lob does a little bit of damage at range, but forces the enemy to take notice of you, but it doesn't commit them to you entirely, it just increases your threat level. And Intervene does the same thing, except that you rush the target, sort of a charge, if you would, like in World of Warcraft. Okay, up here on hotbar 2, I have my multi-target spells. So Total Eclipse and Prominence are a combo together. If you do Total Eclipse, This will light up if you've hit an enemy, and you can follow it up with a simple attack. And then Holy Circle becomes available, instant cast, which does damage to a group of enemies. Circle of Scorn and Expansion are abilities that do damage to multiple targets. This has a small radius of only 5 yards. Same with this Circle of Scorn, but it does restore your mana, and this one gives you damage over time. So they're very valuable abilities, but they share a long cooldown, about 30 seconds each. I should say that they're 30 seconds each, but they don't share a cooldown, just that they both take 30 seconds before you can use them again. Up here on this top bar, I have my defense abilities. Rampart reduces the damage I take by 20%. Bulwark blocks all attacks for 10 seconds. Sentinel is 30% damage reduction. And then Divine Veil is an ability that gives everyone around you in the party, within 30 yards, a barrier. And what this does is it blocks 10% of your total health, that worth of damage. So it also provides a cure, but when you activate it, I now have a barrier around my character for 30 seconds, and it just nullifies damage. So if you're about to suffer an enemy attack from a boss that's quite devastating, or your party is about to get hit with an ability that hits multiple people at once, putting Divine Veil on is a very helpful spell. Then you've got Reprisal, which reduces the damage enemies do by 10%, Arm's Length, which nullifies knockback and draw-in effects, which is a bit confusing to me. I don't use it for that purpose. The way I use it is, if I'm surrounded by enemies, I'll turn it on so that it applies a slow effect to them. So what it does is it makes their attacks go through at a much slower pace. Instead of once every 5 seconds, it might be once every 7 or 8 seconds, which is nice. It's a nice way to mitigate damage very easily. And then Sheltron becomes Holy Sheltron later, and it's just a quick way to reduce the damage you take, and it increases your block chance. In this upgraded version, it helps restore your health points and gives you a cure. Now that is an ability that needs the oath gauge here filled to at least 50 in order to use it. And then Clemency is an ability that you can unlock when you have Requiescat running. You'll be able to cast this for free, but what it is just a simple cure spell. And then Hallowed Ground makes you invincible, but it has a 420-second recast time. So in guides I've seen, people recommend that you use it for encounters where you're being attacked by a lot of enemies at once. You've pulled a big group, or if you're fighting a boss and they're about to do a very powerful attack, you can use that to keep yourself alive, and you can use Clemency to heal your party members if the healer dies. So that's very valuable. And then if you had any questions about Hotbar 4, it's just my friends list, some emotes, the party finder, timers. This is my Iron Will ability. You have to have that on as a tank if you want to keep enemies focused on you instead of the party. So when it's on, it'll turn blue. When it's off, it'll be yellow. And then this is my sprinting. So I thought what I could do is queue up a dungeon just for myself with it set to unrestricted party or unsynced. And this way I can give you a demonstration of the various abilities and how I like to use them. So for this example, we're doing a level 60 dungeon, which is a great way to get items like green items so that you can trade them for company seals. And so here we have 3 enemies attacking at once. Now, if I want to do single target, I can start with Shield Bash and then my Fast Blade, Riot Blade, and Royal Authority combo. But typically in this scenario, you would be with a party. And so you'd want to attack all three at once and make sure that you have the threat focused on you. So now, as you can see on the left here, this white bar is their health, and the red is the threat level. Because I'm the only character here, it's red, which means they're focused just on me, which is wonderful. So I'm going to pretend I'm in a party and activate Total Eclipse. Now, what this does is, as you saw there, my character attacked a little bit. Auto attack is enabled when you start a combo, when you begin an ability set. What I've done also is moved so that I'm facing, I'm on the other side of where I was, so that they face me, with the idea being that the party is back there attacking them, doing damage, and I'm safely away from that, and the enemies are facing away, so that if they do an AoE attack or a big move that hits multiple people, it's not going to hit my party, it's going to hit me. So, here comes an attack, Breathwing. Because I'm faced away, it just hits me. But it looks like that ability might hit multiple people at once. So in that case, this would be a great example of when to use Shield Bash. So I'm going to let him do his wing attack again, and I'm going to interrupt it with Shield Bash. Boop. So it did a little bit of damage and stunned him for 6 seconds, and now he can't use that ability anymore for that time, and then it resets for him. So if you do your combo, you now have access to Holy Circle and Holy Spirit. And again, that's just an instant cast AoE, and it does a lot of damage. So what you want to do when you fight enemies in a group is throw your weapon at them like that with the shield lob to get their attention. Do a quick AoE attack so that everybody focuses on you. Turn them away from the party, and then this way the AoEs are coming towards you and not the party. And then you can just normally fight the target. I've started with Fast Blade, and then I can do Riot Blade and Royal Authority. Because I use Total Eclipse and Prominence, Holy Circle is now available. So I can activate that. Big damage. Then another AoE. And another one. And this theoretical party is always behind me. They shouldn't run ahead of you. That's not a good idea, because then as the tank you have to refocus where you're going to stand. Where I am right now, if the party were here, they're going to get creamed by these AoE attacks. If I'm behind them, then they're safe. But if they've run ahead, maybe now I've got to go to this position. Or maybe I've got to turn them this way, because there's a character over here, and one over there, and one over there. So you're always having to be mindful of positioning for your characters. It's very important that you focus on keeping your party safe. That's really your main responsibility as a tank, especially as a paladin. You don't have to worry so much about dealing damage. That's not your responsibility. That's for the DPS. And you don't have to worry about healing your party. That's for the healer to do. Your job is to keep everyone safe and the enemy focused on you. So I've done Provoke, I've done a Shield Lob, I've turned the boss away, and now I'm just hitting him with my regular combos. If I want to do extra damage, I can turn on Fight or Flight, and that changes to Goring Blade. You can use that to deal a quick amount of damage. It used to be a damage over time spell, but they changed it. Requiescat turns on Confiteor, which you can activate and then do Blade of Faith, and then you can do Blade of Truth, and I think one more as well. So typically what you want to do is, as a paladin, is you get the attention of everybody. You use your mitigation spells to reduce the damage you take and weaken the enemies. Keep them all focused on you. Do your AoE attacks that target multiple people at once so that they all focus on you. Every time you do that, it refreshes their threat so that they stay red. If you attack just once and run off, your team can pull that threat away onto themselves. Your party can get attacked. This will turn orange or yellow or green, and that means you've lost threat and your party is now under attack. Now, if you lose threat, let's say on this character here, you can left click on them and then do a provoke, and that will turn them from green back to red so they focus just on you. What else can you do here? Okay, so if you're under attack by a group of enemies, you can use Reprisal and Arm's Length, and what that does is it makes their attacks slower and the damage they deal even weaker. With Holy Sheltron, it lets you block attacks. So when they swing at you, you just take 15% less damage. With these three, they're just basic damage reduction spells. So 20 seconds, 10 seconds, and 15 seconds. And they just let you reduce the damage you take or block attacks. So with Bulwark on, you can see here on the display that I blocked 20% of that attack. And his regular attacks are also being blocked, so 20% of that damage is mitigated. With Sentinel, it's less obvious what it does, but instead of 457, if they're managing to hit me, let's see if they can actually hit me, it'll do a lot less, so 320 instead of 427. So you can see it's reduced the damage I've taken quite substantially. And then if I put Divine Veil on, they can hit me, but it won't do any damage at all. 0. And that lasts for 30 seconds, or 10% of your total health. Now, when you go into an unsynced dungeon like this, my health points are more than 300,000 because they give you, I believe, a 200% health bonus when you do a dungeon by yourself and you're a certain number of levels higher. So I'll go ahead and just get rid of these enemies quickly, and we'll continue on. You can see now that Holy Circle has been activated, so I can turn that on, followed by Circle of Scorn, followed by Expasion, and you've done a nice little multi-target combo, and they're on cooldown again. So once again, I've organized my hotbars so that my defense spells are all in one place, my multi-target spells are all in one place, and my shield bash and single target spells are all here. You could use low blow if you want. I just like having my interrupt spell very easily at hand so that I can turn off an enemy attack. So just like that, I can stop them in their tracks and they can't use those special abilities on me. Okay, now the Paladin does not have Isuna, which is an ability that healers have that can take away negative status effects, but they do have something like this, Hallowed Ground, which makes me completely invincible for 10 seconds if a big group is attacking me like this. It's also helpful if I'm in an AoE, that yellow blob on the ground, like these. If I can't get out of it in time, if I know I'm going to be hit by it, and there's no way around it without putting the party in danger, I have to just take the hit, and that's what these lovely damage reduction spells are for. You can also use Hallowed Ground, which will make you invincible. So if the boss is doing a mean attack, you can keep yourself safe that way. Okay, now I think I've covered most things with Paladin. There isn't really a whole lot left. Just keep your party safe. Watch out for enemy attacks. When they telegraph big attacks, sometimes you don't get to see what ability they're going to do. Like right now, he's going to wind up and do a big attack, but there's no marker on the ground. So sometimes you have to watch the boss and see what they're going to do so that you can get away from their attack safely. Just imagine there's a big AoE symbol on the floor. So I'm going to defeat him quickly with my Confitor combo. There we go. Collect my treasure and continue on. So there isn't really a whole lot left to say. It's good to have potions as a tank because you may wish to keep yourself topped up if you take a big hit and the healer is focusing on your party. Being able to quickly heal yourself just to take some pressure off the healer is always a good idea. Taking some food is also very good. I've chosen food that boosts my tenacity and determination. Opening up the character panel, you can see that tenacity is a tank ability that it says here it affects the amount of physical and magic damage dealt and received, as well as HP restored. So by having tenacity up, I take less damage and I heal faster. But it only works if you're a tank. And then determination is a very similar stat, but it applies to all jobs. And it just affects the amount of damage I deal and the amount of healing that I receive from a healing spell. So determination is valuable, but I've placed tenacity at a higher importance or priority than determination. And how do you get more tenacity? Well, your gear sometimes will have some. In this case, this piece of equipment does not have tenacity as part of its 4 main bonuses, but I've affixed materia to it. This Battle Dance Materia 10, I believe, is appropriate for items that are level 560 and above, and it grants me 36 tenacity each. Now, if I had a crafting class on this character, which I don't believe I do, I have Culinarian, but it would typically say Meld, and that would grant you an option if you've done the appropriate quest with Mutamix, a goblin who will teach you these abilities. You can actually put more than the maximum amount of 2 on an item. So instead of 2 tenacity materia, I could have 3. I don't believe any of the gear I'm wearing right now qualifies for that, but it's just something that you can keep in mind if you need that little extra boost. So I will abandon this duty, and you might want to check your gear to see if it's been damaged. In this case, it looks like it's fine. And then you can take your green items to your Grand Company, trade them in, and get yourself some nice company seals that you can use for ventures. So that's my little guide on Paladin, what the main abilities are, and what you can expect when you go into a dungeon. I myself have a lot of anxiety about doing dungeons with other players, so I tend to do them by myself or as part of the duty support system. This is a system where you find it under the duty button down here. Duty support brings up this page, and you can pick a dungeon appropriate to your level. Say this one here is level 90. It'll populate your party with NPC characters. It'll tell you what your item level is and what the item level maximum is for this dungeon. And then if you register for duty, it'll put you right inside. And then you can do it synced with a party, and they'll follow you, they'll heal you, they'll deal damage, and it performs very similar to the unsynced dungeons, except that your character is obviously synced. So I'll give you a quick example of how to fight in a party. And you can see I've turned them away. I'm activating some basic mitigation spells. I don't need to use my most powerful ones because they're not really dealing that much damage compared to a boss. I've put on Holy Sheltron so that my character can increase the amount of blocking that I can do. I've put on my multi-target spells, and I'm just focusing on these two core abilities, Total Eclipse and Prominence, and Holy Circle. Because Holy Circle heals me, and Prominence, I believe, restores 1,000 mana points, so that I can keep on doing that combo with these three abilities until the enemies are defeated. So I don't have to do very much here. I just have to keep myself alive and keep the party focused on the enemies, keep the enemies focused on me. Everybody wins. Okay, so that's really all you need to know for Paladin and to another extent tanking. So I hope that you've enjoyed my little video, and if you enjoyed it and you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be happy to make another video for you. Okay, thanks so much for watching, and all the best.